If he does his job well, they want to be fooled.
Shirla, could you pass that back? Wendy?
For the astrology test, each student was given a detailed horoscope.
Robin, could you pass it over to Robin?
They were told it was drawn up by a professional based on information they had supplied about when and where they were born. Actually, these horoscopes were not quite what they appeared to be.
I'd like you to share something with me, if you'd be so kind, just with a show of...
I asked the students to grade them for accuracy on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most accurate.
How many gave it a 1? Let's see a show of hands. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we scored pretty highly with this then. Let's do a little experiment. You've got your horoscopes right in front of you. Take them in your hand like this and hand them over your shoulder to the person behind you. Okay, everybody? And the guy at the end down there, you'll have to come up to the front because these people in the front don't have one now. Okay? Everybody change them around. Everybody's got a... Open up somebody else's horoscope and read it carefully, please. What a surprise.
They had all received the same horoscope. The personality descriptions were generally true of everyone, like, recently you have had to recover from a disappointment. Some of them seemed specific because they were so personal. Your sexual adjustment has presented some problems for you. And there were others that anyone might hope would be true. You have a great deal of unused capacity.
People like to believe certain things are true. And they like to fall for very specific, absolutely enormously accurate horoscopes, right?
Right.
Of course they are. Did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. So why do people persist in ascribing to these systems?
That's the big question, of course. And psychologically, that is the most interesting question. I think that people are trying to get some control over their lives. By knowing more about themselves, of course, they get control over their lives. But that's what we're doing, all of us, each and every day of our lives. Whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whether it's a love interest, whether it's health, we're trying to get control of our lives. We're looking for power. And astrology offers you apparently a very old and a very easy formula whereby you can do that sort of thing.
What you've presented me today is evidence that this can be misused or abused, but you have not convinced me that there is nothing to this.
Oh, no, I didn't intend to do that.
Okay, and I feel that your exercise today was kind of cynical and one-sided, and somehow it is wise to be unbelieving in this.
Well, I can't prove it doesn't work. I can never prove it doesn't work.
And I've seen it a lot of times where intellectuals have wanted to disprove mystical things because since it didn't fit into their framework of beliefs, they wouldn't allow it.
But I can't prove to you that Santa Claus doesn't exist. I really can't. I can't disprove anything. I can't prove a negative. But I can show you that it's not very likely to be true. That's the best I can do.
Needless to say, my message isn't always popular. My friend Ray Hyman is a psychologist, and he has an idea why.
We seem to be taken as we're taking something away and not giving something in return. Yes. And these people want something, they're looking for something, and I think we have to understand what is it they're searching for and what they're seeking.
Ray has an insider's perspective on these questions. He once worked as a professional palm reader. On a recent visit to Florida, he allowed me to observe while he gave readings to 2 volunteers.
Now, I want to look at a few other things before we go very far. Look at your thumb, which is most important.
Ray started reading palms to help put himself through college.
There's a little narrowing of the second joint here. That's tact. That suggests tactfulness.
At the time, he was convinced there was nothing to it.
This is the spiritual mental. I had no belief that it would work. But to be convincing, I did read the books and I did study the lines the way and told it as it's supposed to be told. And to my surprise, it worked. And then I became a very rabid believer in palm reading. There's a break in your lifeline. This is your lifeline right here. So you've had some physical problems. You still may have some problems here, some medical problems of some sort.
He was right about that I had some health problems. Is there anything there about my mother?
About your mother. The one thing, the thing that's clear is that right from the beginning, you didn't want to be dominated by her. You wanted to make up your own mind about what your life is going to be like and so on.
I have been very headstrong when it comes to my mother. She has kind of tried to dominate me sometimes, and I've rebelled against it.
At the same time, you wanted to be on your own terms and stuff like that.
He was pretty right on the money with a lot of things. Maybe he's got some part to himself that others are not in touch with, and he knows these things.
Concerned about the relationship between your mother and yourself.
As a palm reader, Ray was quite successful.
I was saying...
Then a college friend bet him that he would do just as well if he told his subjects the opposite of what he read in their palms. He decided to give it a try.
And I did this on my first client, and she didn't say a word. She had no reaction at all, which was very spooky to me because I'm used to feedback. I thought it was because I bombed, but it turned out because she was so stunned I was so accurate. And this was really a shock to me because I had done everything wrong. So I did it the next client wrong. And then I realized it doesn't make any difference what you tell them. It's more what you convince them, how good you are, and what you get them to believe.
As a professional psychologist, Ray is very much aware of the role that careful observation can play in a reading.
You're living in a strange world. It'd be better if you were living maybe 50, 40 years ago in some ways.
I've always said that. I should have been born a long time ago.
This present world presents problems for you, and you're not too happy with it. You'd be much. And from the way she was dressed and so on, I could say that she'd rather be living in an earlier time than today. In fact, she was dressed for an earlier time anyway. There's a change. There's been, there for a while, looked like you had 2 jobs or 2 careers, I'm not sure. And very recently you have switched. In fact, there's been a major career change.
I've been in the same career for 6 years. Next year I'm thinking about changing careers, but I haven't done it yet, so he could just be a little off in his timing.
If you set people up right, you can tell them most anything. If they've really got a creative and intelligent mind, they can make sense out of it no matter how crazy it seems to be. They can find a way of reinterpreting it so that it really fits them like a glove. This person wants me to succeed. I should work out some accommodation.
Now, you certainly don't need someone to deliberately fool you to have what seems to be a psychic experience. Your mind can create one all by itself. Let's say you don't like to fly and you're worried about a trip you're going to take, then suddenly during the flight, the plane suddenly, whoa, drops a few thousand feet because of a downdraft. You might very well choose to think that you had some kind of psychic intuition about this. But what you forget is that you've had that same queasy feeling every time you've gotten on an airplane. And if it doesn't fulfill itself, you forget about it. You see, the brain is constantly searching for relationships. It's trying to work out cause and effect so we can know what to expect in our lives. That's natural. The brain is very good at this, but it does make mistakes. And one way to explain these mistakes is by some kind of psychic explanation. My investigations have taken me to dozens of countries, but until recently, one of the most interesting wasn't open to scrutiny. It's long been rumored that Russia harbors psychic talent like nowhere else in the world. The country has an ancient mystical tradition.
Good morning.
Good morning,
And the
sir.
government has encouraged psychic research.
To Moscow?
That's right.
Any luggage to check in, sir?
2 pieces.
Now that the country is open to visitors, I wanted to check things out for myself. I'd seen the films that came out during the Cold War. Juna was a famous healer who had Brezhnev as a client. Karl Nikolaev could apparently turn on lights with the force of his will.